That said, the companies felt otherwise. Of course, they wouldn't change because if they changed, they wouldn't really exist. And that's kind of the situation we're in right today. They're not going to exist much longer. I want to leave. I just want to, talk about this thing and see if we can't make it more fair. Of course, they wouldn't change because if they changed, they wouldn't really exist.
One time when I was with him privately, he said, "You know what the elevator is, right?" No. I said, "No, what's the elevator?" He said, "Well, the elevator is the devil." Right? It scared me. I don't like to talk like that.
Rumors are swirling, and all eyes are on Jay-Z. Whispers from behind the velvet curtain suggest Prince may have uncovered evidence tying the hip-hop mogul to a sinister plot.
It was helpful in mine in really all different types of ways, especially about the business, as far as being a black man that was rich in this business at 18 years old.
The Purple One himself once hinted at forces trying to silence him.
But somebody laced these counterfeit drugs with fentanyl. Somebody sold them. Somebody bought them. These are questions that even after 2 years, are we any closer to answers? Not really.
Could Jay-Z have been one of those forces? What was Prince holding on to that had him looking over his shoulder? Let's find out. Prince, the legendary artist who fought tooth and nail for control over his music, left behind a massive fortune and a legacy that's still making waves. And guess what? Turns out the lawyers were right. Some wild, never-before-seen footage of Prince's meetings just dropped, and it's sparking major buzz about Jay-Z and Diddy being involved. Even Katt Williams hinted at this ages ago.
He was helpful in mine in really all different types of ways, especially about the business, as far as being a black man that was rich in this business at 18 years old.
Not many people know, but Katt Williams and Prince had a bond way deeper than your typical singer-comedian duo. Katt's mentioned Prince a few times, even during his interview on Shannon Sharpe's club Shay Shay. They connected on all sorts of things: lyrics, their mutual love for cars, and naturally, women.
Because we share certain things. Our connection was lyrics, musical lyrics, women, and cars.
Clive Davis is a highly influential figure in the music industry, renowned for his immense power and track record of success. He notably launched Arista Records, where he signed numerous major black acts, showcasing his talent for spotting musical potential. His roster of signed artists is impressive and includes Patti Smith, The Outlaws, Eric Carmen, Exposé, Ace of Base, Air Supply, Dionne Warwick, Ray Parker, and Radio, Aretha Franklin, and Alicia Keys. Davis also played a key role in giving Puff Daddy his start in establishing Bad Boy Records. However, his most significant success came from discovering and nurturing Whitney Houston's career.
By spending time with her when the picture was inescapable. There were 2 times, one live, where she came to my home, where we had a personal...
Clive Davis was blown away by Whitney Houston's incredible talent and wholesome image and saw a golden opportunity to make her a superstar. This move didn't just elevate Whitney, it also sent Clive's net worth soaring to nearly $800 million. But as Whitney climbed the ranks of fame, she started noticing some strange, unsettling things behind the scenes in the music industry. During her 2002 interview with Diane Sawyer, she opened up about the challenges and personal battles she faced, hinting at the darker side of the business. Whitney seemed guarded and uneasy at times, admitting to an internal struggle and acknowledging she had her share of personal demons. In her interview, Whitney Houston opened up about conflicts with Clive Davis and hinted at a possible conspiracy against her, which left her exposed and vulnerable. Using her history of addiction, some people aim to tarnish her reputation and dismiss her claims. There's also chatter that Clive might have had a similar dynamic with Prince. Prince's insights into the darker side of Hollywood took a chilling turn with his sudden passing in an elevator, an event that Dave Chappelle found particularly eerie. Chappelle noted how Prince was always outspoken and unafraid to speak his mind, making him difficult to control. From an outside perspective, it almost seems like an unstoppable force was intentionally removed from the equation.
He paid that kind of attention, and I think about that when I engage people, how these moments are just moments, but they mean so much.
Comedian Katt Williams once shared on The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon what it was like being on the cover of Prince's September 2013 single Breakfast Can Wait. That's a Prince judo move right there, he joked. You parody Prince in a sketch, and he turns around and puts you on his album cover. What am I supposed to do? Sue him for using a picture of me dressed as him? That's checkmate. Prince, the legendary artist, passed away at the age of 57, found unresponsive at his Minnesota estate. The official report said it was an accidental fentanyl overdose from counterfeit Vicodin laced with a powerful synthetic opioid. But let's face it, many of us are still left with unanswered questions and doubts about that explanation. On Club Shay Shay, Shannon Sharpe showed his fanboy admiration for Prince's unmatched talents, his ability to play multiple instruments and put on electrifying performances. Katt Williams nodded along, confirming that Prince was indeed one of a kind. Katt shared that their connection ran deep, claiming it felt like he'd known Prince his entire life. He opened up about their talks that spanned everything from lyrics and music to their shared love of women and cars. And when it comes to cars, Prince's collection wasn't just about the vehicles. Each car held stories, some of which involved Katt himself. They bonded over the essentials: musical brilliance, admiration for women, and of course, a love for cool rides. Katt even hinted that they had each other's backs while navigating the often unforgiving music industry.
Because we share certain things. Our connection was lyrics, musical lyrics, women, and cars.
When Katt Williams hints that he knows the real story behind Prince's passing, it's not just wild speculation. Katt was close to Prince and shared genuine moments with the Purple One. In a 2022 interview with Arsenio Hall, Katt opened up about how Prince influenced him and shaped his path. Before becoming a comedian, Katt spent 5 years as a rapper, a chapter of his life sparked by an early encounter with Prince. It all started when a 12-year-old Katt met Prince backstage at the University of Dayton Arena, where Prince was performing. That meeting kicked off a lifelong bond, with Prince becoming a mentor-like figure for Katt. Katt credits Prince for boosting his confidence and swagger, saying the legendary artist played a major role in building his self-esteem.
I met Prince when I was 12.
Where did you meet Prince when you were 12?
In Dayton. After
Really?
he performed at UD Arena. Yeah, I mean, I knew him my whole life.
In his trademark style, Katt drops some wisdom about Prince being a high thinker, always steps ahead of the curve. While we all know Prince was a musical genius, playing more instruments than most of us can name, here's the kicker. Katt suggests that Prince also imparted lessons about embracing one's uniqueness. Fans are buzzing about Katt Williams' comment that Prince was always 30 steps ahead, especially when you pair it with the cryptic stuff Prince used to say before he passed. Some folks are convinced Katt might have known something Prince was onto, something dark and unsettling. Prince was no stranger to dropping mysterious hints, often leaving people wondering if there was more behind his words than he let on. And then there's how he died, found in an elevator. That alone set off a wave of theories. Prince was known to have a strange fear of elevators, a fact L.A. Reid mentioned in an Entertainment Tonight interview. Reid recalled the chilling moment when Prince's body was discovered in the very thing he reportedly avoided. For those who don't buy the accidental overdose explanation, these details hit differently. To them, Prince's fearless approach to exposing Hollywood's darker side and the eerie circumstances around his death feel like puzzle pieces to a bigger story. Could there be more to it than what we're told? Fans aren't ruling it out.
Time when I was with him privately, he said, "You know what the elevator is, right?"
No.
I said, "No, what's the elevator?" He said, "Well, the elevator is the devil."
According to Entertainment Tonight, Louisiana, Reid shared that Prince had a deep aversion to elevators, even going so far as to describe them as instruments of the devil. This belief was reflected in Prince's 1984 hit song Let's Go Crazy, where he likened elevators to malevolent forces trying to bring people down. In the iconic lyrics, he sings, "And if the elevator tries to bring you down, go crazy, punch a higher floor." The song's message of defiance against negativity seems to echo Prince's own feelings about elevators, symbolizing a battle against evil forces trying to hold him back. His defiant message to punch a higher floor was his way of fighting back against the forces he believed were trying to drag him down. L.A. Reid recalled a conversation he had with Prince about elevators, which left him deeply uncomfortable. Reid said, "One time when I was with him privately, he said, 'You know what the elevator is, right?' I said, 'No, what's the elevator?' He said, 'Well, the elevator is the devil.'" Reid, who was unsettled by the topic, expressed his discomfort discussing such dark themes. Given this conversation, Reid found it especially eerie when news broke that Prince had been found lifeless in an elevator at his Paisley Park estate. This has sparked public speculation, with some connecting his outspoken defiance against the music industry and his legendary resistance to being controlled to the mysterious nature of his death. Prince's career was not only groundbreaking in music, but also influential in film and culture, making his untimely passing all the more suspicious to those who believed he had a target on his back due to his views and willingness to speak out. With over 100 million records sold worldwide, Prince's legacy is monumental, cementing him as one of the most significant artists in history. His impact on both the music industry and pop culture remains immeasurable, with many believing his untold story and his defiance against the industry's darker elements may have contributed to his mysterious and untimely death. When we think of Prince, we envision a versatile genius, skilled at composing, producing, mastering various musical instruments, and possessing dance moves that rivaled even his backing performers. Elevating Prince to the forefront of our consciousness, we unmistakably associate him with sensuality, evident through his overtly provocative style. His music becomes synonymous with intimate, bedroom-friendly melodies, and we perceive the man, in his own renowned words, as an individual of immense allure and magnetism.
Mainly, I sensed a great deal of negativity and entropy in the music. There's a disintegration.
Amid the undeniable sensuality prevalent in Prince's music and persona, we also uncover another facet that historically clashes with religious beliefs, particularly those of the Catholic Church. The complex interplay between sensuality and religion has been a source of tension, with topics like SES often considered taboo in certain religious contexts.
Yeah, not that. I'm talking about very spiritual in nature. And that's a God-given gift, too.
Despite his undeniable sensuality, Prince maintained an unwavering faith in God. "I like to believe my inspiration comes from God. I've always known God is my creator. Without him, nothing works," he once affirmed. Prince's faith may have been deeply rooted in his early life, which was marked by a miraculous event. He was born epileptic, yet miraculously his condition was cured. As a child, Prince reportedly confided in his mother, suggesting that an angel had foretold his healing, though Prince himself has occasionally expressed uncertainty about recalling this specific conversation with his mother.
My mother told me one day I walked into her and said, "Mom, I'm not going to be sick anymore." And she said, "Why?" And I said, "Because an angel told me so."
Prince was initially raised as a Seventh-day Adventist, but later embraced the faith of Jehovah's Witnesses. Both of these religions sometimes considered to be on the fringes of mainstream Christianity. Nevertheless, Prince's unwavering belief in God remains undeniable, particularly when we delve into the themes present in his music. One particular track where Prince's faith in Christ is evident is the opener of 1984's Purple Rain, which begins with the sermon-like line, "Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to get through this thing called life," accompanied by a funeral procession-esque organ solo. In 1997, Prince disclosed that the track served as a metaphor symbolizing the conflict between Christ and Satan. However, it was presented as a metaphor rather than a direct and overt reference to his faith. This approach was likely due to radio stations' reluctance to promote songs with explicit religious themes. As I wrote it, "Let's Go Crazy" was about God and the de-elevation of sin, Prince said. But the problem was that religion as a subject is taboo in pop music. People think that the records they release have got to be hip, but what I need to do is to tell the truth. I had to change those words up, but the elevator was Satan. I had to change the words up because you couldn't say God on the radio. And "Let's Go Crazy" was God to me. It was stay happy, stay focused, and you can beat the elevator. Are we going to let the elevator bring us down? Oh no, let's go! Prince ingeniously navigated the radio censorship restrictions to convey his pastor-like wisdom on the transformative role God can play in our lives when embraced. Notably, the track re-entered the Billboard Hot 100 charts after Prince's untimely death in 2016, surging as high as number 26 just 3 weeks following his passing.
Things like that is kind of like a black hole, and it's hard to audit, it's hard to get accounting, and it's not that it's just about the money.
When we first think of Prince, it's easy to assume he wasn't exactly the religious type, especially with all the sensual vibes in his music. But it turns out, Prince did find comfort in his faith, which kind of makes his early death feel a little easier to understand. In his song Let's Go Crazy, he says, "I'm here to tell you there's something else, the afterworld, a world of never-ending happiness. You can always see the sun, day or night," suggesting he found peace in the idea of the afterlife. Prince definitely made an impact on a lot of people, including Eddie Murphy. Eddie even talked about having a surreal experience with Prince at his house in an interview, where he opened up about their connection.
Like 2 or 3 in the morning, and we're at his house, and Prince goes, "Who wants to go roller skating?" He was like, "What?" And we went to this roller rink at like 3 in the morning.
Eddie Murphy mentioned that Prince had skates that would light up as he skated, similar to the way some sneakers light up when you walk. And according to him, it was a magical moment. He said, "You know how some sneakers, when you walk, they would light up? He had skates that when he skated, they would light up." Fallon responded, "That's bizarre," to which Murphy replied, "It was surreal." However, there were some people who criticized Prince for the references to Satan in his songs. Sinead O'Connor alleged that Prince was involved in devil business and recounted an incident where she perceived him as being violent during a pillow fight. The singer, aged 54, stated that she was called to the late music icon's residence for a meeting in 1991, shortly after achieving global success with her cover of his song, Nothing Compares to You. In her new memoir, Rememberings, she claimed that the irises of Prince's eyes vanished as he stood at the front door of his Hollywood property, leading her to fear that he might be deeply involved in the occult.
Yeah, I think I was very young. I wasn't ready for the type of success, in inverted commas, that happened. Do you know what I mean? I wasn't really setting out to be a pop star.
In a chat with The Times, Sinead opened up about an eerie moment she had with Prince. She said, "That is as true as God. I believe he was involved in devil business because an old girlfriend of his told me he had the power to make objects move around the room. He got me up there to see, could this person be one of mine? I guess he didn't expect the Irish in me to tell him to go himself." Sinead, who became an ordained priest in the 90s through Bishop Michael Cox of the Irish Orthodox Catholic and Apostolic Church, and now practices Islam, also shared a disturbing story in her book about an encounter with Prince. She claimed he hit her with something hidden inside a pillowcase during a pillow fight, and she recounted chilling moments where he allegedly stalked her in his car and chased her down the road after she escaped from what she called a macabre mansion.
But it's very hopeful, isn't it? He obviously intends to get her back.
Yes.
He's getting her back because she's coming home.
Sinead has shared that several factors contributed to Prince's violent behavior during their meeting. Prince, who passed away in 2016 at 57, can no longer respond to these claims. Sinead explained that one reason for his aggression was his dislike of others covering his songs, and another reason was his frustration that she wasn't one of his many female protégés. Sinead has also gone as far as calling Prince a violent A of women and accused him of terrorizing and physically her during a visit to his Hollywood mansion in the 90s. These allegations were detailed in her memoir, which was previewed in a New York Times profile, published 4 years after Prince's tragic death from a drug overdose. In her account, Sinead described being summoned to Prince's eerie mansion, where he scolded her for swearing in interviews, pressured his butler to serve her soup despite her refusals, and suggested they have a pillow fight, only for him to strike her with something hard hidden inside the pillowcase. Sinead claimed that when she fled on foot in the middle of the night, Prince pursued her in his car, even leaping out to chase her down the highway. Sinead, reflecting on the experience, wrote, "You've got to be crazy to be a musician, but there's a difference between being crazy and being a violent A of women." Despite her accusations, the public largely remained loyal to Prince, and Sinead's narrative never seemed to sway the massive fan base he had built over the years. One of his fans wrote, "The industry has been off artists for a long time now. MJ, Prince, Whitney, etc. When you no longer want to play by their rules, this is your end, or they will destroy you in front of millions. This industry is very evil." His untimely demise really left the audience in shock and many questions unanswered. In addition to the official conspiracy theories surrounding Prince's death, such as TMZ's suggestion of a drug overdose and the National Enquirer's mention of AIDS, the internet has given rise to various speculations about the circumstances of the musical genius's passing. Some even pointed out curious connections, like The Simpsons, supposedly predicting Prince's death.
Prince playing second fiddle to Michael Jackson, and perhaps that had something to do with the fact that the episode never got made.
In the 19th Treehouse of Horror episode of The Simpsons, there's a segment where Homer Simpson offends a bunch of celebs, including Prince, using his iconic guitar shape. Some folks have gone down the conspiracy rabbit hole, saying this is evidence that The Simpsons had some crystal ball action going on, predicting Prince's death years before it happened. And yep, you guessed it, the Illuminati got dragged into these wild speculations too. Fans have also speculated that Prince may have been responsible for his own demise. One fan commented, "I grew up a Prince fan but stopped listening to him years before he died. There were so many things I found out that made me never want to praise an entertainer again. They're all paid to entertain and keep you blind to the truth." Hollywood is evil wood, the devil's playground. He was a big player in his own death, another fan wrote. It's heartbreaking to think of such an icon being in a position of helplessness, knowing they were coming for him, and everyone around him was wicked. Soon as he got ownership BCK from his music, they him. Adding to the intrigue, there's a fascinating story about Prince shelving an album due to a negative experience with ecstasy. His Black album was supposed to drop in 1987, but right before its release, he pulled the plug. Insiders suggested that Prince thought releasing it would have a malevolent influence, expressing that he couldn't unleash it on the world. The album eventually saw the light of day in 1994, and reportedly, Katt did not delay in connecting it with Jay-Z. He persistently voiced his apprehensions about an unjust system, challenging the established norms. In his unyielding journey, he managed to carve out a distinct place for himself in the industry. Notably, he unveiled a facet that adds to Jay-Z's current authority and sway, a connection with numerology that largely contributes to his pervasive power. According to Kanye, Jay-Z has shown significant interest in the occult and has been linked to human sacrifices in the past. Kanye West's close bond with them was once considered among Hollywood's strongest connections. Their friendship seemed genuine, leading us to believe it would last indefinitely. However, this perception was shattered. Kanye's words were direct. He asserted that not only his mother, but also others had been sacrificed, and yet a veil of silence shrouds this alleged dark group. Those who resist control reportedly experience trauma or disappear. Known for his candid expressions, Kanye remains unafraid to voice his thoughts, whether they pertain to anti-Semitism or uncovering instances of human sacrifices. In addition, Kanye asserted his immunity to control by Hollywood's higher-ups due to his lack of involvement in any harmful acts. However, he proceeded to outline a roster of individuals who could be influenced, prompting us to infer that he might be alluding to those associated with the Illuminati, and who have a history of causing harm to innocent lives. It appears increasingly clear that Prince was not overly preoccupied with the workings of the physical world, or what would transpire after his transcendence. Perhaps he had a deep-seated confidence that his legacy was firmly established through his life's accomplishments, and he was content to leave the unfolding of events to fate as he embarked on his journey to the great beyond. That's it for today. See you in the next video. Until then, goodbye!